Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to touch upon three topics that are somewhat related to each other, and that's EDI, unconscious bias, and wellness. And for these topics I want to move over to the computer and tell you a little bit about where your resources are as a student. So all universities should have a EDI office. In the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Toronto, if you go to Medicine, Office, Inclusion and Diversity, we have all of these programs that they do. What we do, their team, and some of their workshops they run. And I would highly recommend that you peruse through these workshops and go through to the ones that interest you or that you feel, well, I have no idea what allyship is or equity workshops are or diversity dialogue events. They're all there, and all universities have these type of programming. I'm surely not an expert in this, so I'm just going to point to some of the resources that are out there. The next resource I want to talk about is how to write an effective diversity statement. So most students will be going, especially those going on to academic roles, may be asked to write a diversity statement. Okay, and so what is that? Here is an article in Inside Higher Ed talking about the effective diversity statement. And some of the things that I highlight are 7 suggestions. Is telling your story. If you have overcome obstacles to get to where you are, point those out. And if in contrast you're privileged, acknowledge that. Focus on commonly accepted understandings of diversity and equity. Avoid false parallels. Write about specific things you have done to help students from underrepresented backgrounds succeed. Highlight any programs for underrepresented students you have participated in. And write about your commitment to working toward achieving equity and enhancing diversity. And modify your statement based on where you're sending it. So the statement that you send to, let's say, the rural South should not be the same one you send to an elite institution in urban California. And just to, for all you Canadian students, this is an article mostly for American students, so keep that in mind as you read this. The other concept I want to talk about with this website is addressing unconscious bias. So unconscious bias is when, due to our background and of where we grew up and how we grew up, we have sort of these unconscious biases that we don't think about at a sort of a non-unconscious level. So this program here, agrovo.com, talks about various concepts about unconscious biases. So here's one. We all have biases. Let's slow down our thinking, examine our biases. And there are various videos that you can take. So introduction to unconscious bias. Why is it hard to talk about bias? What does bias look like? And what is unconscious bias? So feel free to go through these resources and peruse through them. Speaking on unconscious bias, here is a reference or a resource article about avoiding gender bias in reference writing. Okay. So this is for anyone writing references, and this could be a grad student, a postdoc, a faculty member, and here they talk about how you should fall into common traps based on unconscious gender bias. Okay, so for example, mention research and publications. So letters of reference for men are 4 times more likely to mention publications and twice as likely to have multiple references to research. So make sure you put these critical accomplishments in every letter. Keep it professional. Letters of reference for women are 7 times more likely to mention personal life, something that is almost irrelevant for the application. And make sure you use formal titles and surnames for both men and women. On average, letters for men are 16% longer than letters for women, and letters for women are 2.5 times as likely to make a minimal assurance. Okay, stay away from stereotypes. Emphasize accomplishments and not effort. Letters for reference for men are more likely to emphasize accomplishments, while letters for women are 50% more likely to include groundstone adjectives that describe effort. Be careful phrasing doubt. We all share a bias, so let's all solve it together. And here's just some adjectives to avoid and adjectives to include. And this was published by the University of Arizona Commission on the Status of Women. So have a look at that. And all of these resources are going to be on the link in the video. So here is another resource, and that is the IAR module. So for those of you that are at U of T, if you go to iar.utoronto.ca, there is a Identify, Assist, and Refer module. And this is referring to wellness. This is the University of Toronto Student Mental Health Strategy and Framework website. So what you do is you go on here, you just select your campus and select your role, and they'll go through, say, a 20-minute module on how you identify and assist, refer individuals that may be having some challenges. So I'm going to jump into one of the pages they have. And this is recognizing concerning behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. So after they go through some indicators, they go through various scenarios. And what are the situations that might be a reason for wanting to check in with somebody? So I'll just read some of the examples. So C here, Bazir complains about his awful roommates and how they frequently exclude him from house activities. After finding her paper was rejected by yet another journal, Priya talks about how pointless it is to carry on. Jordan has not turned in their last 3 mini assignments because they're only worth 1% each. So they go through various scenarios, and I'm not going to disclose the results because I would like for you to go through it. But it helps you identify individuals that may be having issues. And the rest of the module talks about how you can refer them in a more productive way. Okay, so what I mean by productive in more specific way, it's not very specific if you ask Priya, how is it going? But if you say, Priya, you were talking about how your paper was rejected again. How are you dealing with that, or do you need any help with that? Okay, so identifying the actual behavior that is concerning is helpful. And then for everyone that needs help themselves, at University of Toronto, there's the Health and Wellness Center, which you can call and contact to start there at least, and they can help you there. So here are the websites and resources that are for you to go through if you want some more information about what we just talked about. That was the EDI Office. Here is a diversity statement resource, the unconscious bias and the letter writing resource. And this is the Identify, Assist, and Refer resource. And just on a note on wellness, we actually had a symposium a couple years ago where we had a topic called the imposter syndrome. And that is when you feel like you don't belong here. And we thought maybe 20 individuals might show up, but there was actually a room full, almost 200 PhD students showed up. So all this to say, you're not alone. Everyone goes through that process. And if you feel like you need to take some time to yourself, please do so. It's all part of the process, and you have to take care of your well-being. Thanks.